Good morning and welcome to the Geological Survey of Queensland's Digging Deeper event for 2018. My name is Tony Knight, the Chief Government Geologist, and I'll be your host today. First, let me start, as we always do, by respectfully acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today and paying my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So look, let me just provide some introductory comments. It's really an exciting time, I think, to be in the exploration and geoscience world. There's a lot going on. I've just come from the QEC breakfast. That was a very positive event, as I'm sure that those of you who were there would have heard from the Minister and other speakers today. But with no further delay, I'll introduce our first speaker, Mr. Shaun Ferris. He didn't want me to call him Mr. because he's a very informal guy and a very good acting Deputy Director General of the Mineral and Energy Resources Group of the department. Shaun has recently taken over the reins as acting DDG. He's over 20 years' experience in mining and industry. He's worked extensively in both the public and private sectors. Shaun has experience in the field of environmental management, sustainability, project approvals, stakeholder engagement, government relations, land and tenement management, spanning both public and private sectors. Please welcome Shaun.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Geological Survey of Queensland's 16th Digging Deeper event. As we stand in the footsteps of Millennia Old, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where we gather today and pay my due respect to elders past and present. I'm going to take the opportunity to just have a quick dig at Tony. Tony's the 18th Chief Geologist for the state of Queensland, a very critical and important role. And if anyone's to be called Mr. in this room, it's probably Mr. Tony Knight, not Mr. Shaun Ferris. It's truly a great pleasure to be here today. I've just come, as I'm sure many of you did also, from the Queensland Exploration's annual Exploration Scorecard breakfast next door. The key message that we heard was one of optimism, expressed through increased exploration activity, increased investment, increased sentiment, and if I can show my Queensland bias just for a moment, the fact that Queensland is now ranked the highest in Australia and indeed third in the world for mineral potential as measured in the annual Fraser Institute report. These positives give due recognition to the huge potential and vast opportunity that the resources sector offers Queensland. And in my new role as acting Deputy Director General of a government agency focused on mineral and energy resources, all of those indicators are very welcome news. Because of our track record in Queensland has been one to turn opportunity into success. That's how we've been able to establish a world-class resources sector, supplying domestic and export markets with the essentials for our life. Coking coal for steel making, bauxite and base metals for industry, thermal coal and gas for energy, and increasingly minerals to support the technological and renewable energy revolution currently underway. In short, the opportunities that our resource endowment has provided have been good to us. But there is a saying that I like, which is that the trouble with opportunity is that it comes disguised as hard work. So today we want to talk to you about the hard work we are doing to help the resources industry turn opportunity into success. Because as we know, success brings many benefits to all of Queenslanders and Australians through jobs, investment, the exports and the royalties. And at a very personal level for many of us in this room here today, it's a very clear expression of the purpose in what we do. Given that today is about the work of the Geological Survey of Queensland, the GSQ, it is of course appropriate that I focus on where they are heading and the work that they will do. But before we look into the future, let me start by looking back, because this year, as I don't doubt everyone knows, marks the 150th anniversary of GSQ. Just pause on that for a moment. 150 years of the GSQ. To reach such an important milestone and a major milestone in a state that is 159 years of age, I think that's a great endorsement of the importance of the GSQ. It also says in actions, not just words, that successive governments in Queensland have valued the role of the GSQ in supporting the state to realise the opportunities that our rich endowment of minerals and energy resources offer. It's remarkable to think of how much has happened across that 150 years in the resources sector. The discoveries, the developments, the changes, the advancements, and of course the people who have been behind every one of those things. So in my acknowledgements today, I would like to also thank the many people of the GSQ who have contributed to its many successes over many years. The successes of which began with its founders, Christopher Applin and Richard Daintree, and it continues to this day. And speaking of today, to this Digging Deeper event, I look forward to hearing about many of the projects the GSQ has been working on over the last year, and pass on my many thanks to the great work of our staff that they have done to bring this event together. I'm pleased too for what this event represents. It is the 16th Digging Deeper event, but more importantly, it is exactly the sort of thing that I like to see. That's industry, government, and our colleagues in the research sector getting together to hear about what's going on, to learn, and to share information. It speaks to collaboration, which is something I strongly support. And in this time of increasing challenge in making new discoveries, collaboration is something we need to do more frequently and do it well. But most importantly, it speaks to knowledge transfer. The success of our resources sector is built on making the best use of our knowledge, whether in exploration, in research, in mining, helping us build and put to work our capability, which is a true strength of this resources sector in Queensland. Let me now turn to the future. As I said a moment ago, opportunity comes disguised as hard work. This has never been more true than now. The trouble with 150 years of success for our resources sector is that all of the easy to find and easy to mine deposits have been found, and you guessed it, they've been mined. What's left is harder to find, it's deeper, it's in more difficult terrain, which makes it more challenging to develop and more challenging to commercialise. In addition, we are seeing ever more challenges from the community at large, demanding a greater say in where the resource developments will proceed and how they will operate, and in the way that they will fit in with and provide benefits to the broader community. Those things drive us to be more strategic in our approach, more strategic about both the technical and non-technical aspects of exploration. And that's what GSQ is doing, and they are doing it well. We've been working to an exploration strategy for quite some time now, which is of course an essential tool to help set our objectives and our priorities, to decide what we can do, and by inflection, what we can't do due to constraints and the need to respond to urgent issues. But we need more than an exploration strategy alone. If I think for a moment about where we stand in history, it's at a period of unprecedented change. It's a period during which we need to find new ways to drive the new discoveries, new ways to attract new investment in an increasingly competitive world, and that of higher community expectations. And of course, the huge disruption in the way that we use data and technology. We're not alone in facing those challenges, however. At the recent International Mining and Resource Conference in Melbourne, the chief executive of Rio Tinto said 3 things of that company. 1, that we need to reinvent ourselves. 2, digital will be a game changer. And 3, we must define the way we partner. Those 3 themes are applicable to the GSQ as they are to Rio Tinto and the broader resources sector. In relation to the first theme, that we need to reinvent ourselves, obviously the GSQ's traditional role as a provider and custodian of geoscience insight and knowledge to the Queensland resources sector will not change. but advances in technology and advancements in the management and analysis of digital data will mean that the way in which we discharge that role as a provider and custodian of geoscience data will change. Our geoscience data modernisation project will be the centrepiece, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Like Rio, we need to reinvent the way we go about other things we do so we're prepared for the future. We want to play a pivotal role in driving innovation and change. In short, we want to drive change in the way we go about exploration in Queensland. By that I mean we want to drive industry success by harnessing the full power of data, using data-driven exploration to improve efficiency and the efficacy of exploration. And through that success, position Queensland as the preferred destination for exploration and investment. During the course of the day, you will hear from Mr. Tony Knight, Queensland's 18th Chief Geologist, who will describe our data-driven exploration initiative in more detail during his presentation. And in thinking about reinventing ourselves, we want to be open to innovation and change, to look to different ways of doing things. That's why today I'm very pleased to see that the speakers presenting on topics have been designed to make us think about the future. You'll soon hear from Dr. Sue Key, Chief Operating Officer from the Queensland University of Technology, Centre of Excellence for Robotic Vision. It's a really exciting area for the resources sector, and it'll be great to hear what the future holds for us in that space. Later today, you'll hear from Barbara Pribble, who, apart from her day job as the Resources and Reserves Manager for Santos, Barbara also sits on 2 working groups for petroleum and resource and reserve classification. The Petroleum Resource Management System, or PRMS, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, and also on the United Nations Framework Classification System, which I suspect that may not be as familiar to most. But the UN system might just be the modern one we need. So I look forward to hearing from Barbara speak later. Of course, I look forward to hearing from Warwick Anderson speak on using artificial intelligence in exploration. We all hear the terms machine learning and artificial intelligence and AI a lot these days. So let's see what they can do for us in the exploration and geoscience space. That is also a neat segue into my next theme, that the digital will be the game changer. The currency of GSQ, as with industry, has always been data. We've collected data since the very first day on the job of our founding government geologists, and we haven't stopped since. Our data stores are an incredibly valuable resource for the state and for industry, but we can do better. We can do far better with that information and that data that we have. As good as our data stores are, they reside on systems that are from another era. One of our main systems, Merlin, began its life at the same time as Expo 1988. And while our systems are good, they can't keep up with the growth in data volumes or provide the level of data quality or of the data management capability that we need today. So that's why we are moving via our Geoscience Data Modernisation project to implement a data lake. I'm actually genuinely excited about what this will mean for the resource sector in this state. Not only will it position us to be at the leading edge in how government geoscience data is managed and made available for us, but it will give us a competitive advantage. It will not only simplify the way data is reported to us, but it will also see new generation data of better quality, since we'll be able to readily identify problems and errors in the data, which for industry will reduce the time-wasting process needed to cleanse data before they can use it. By improving our data curation, we will enable modern data analytics, improved ability to integrate data sets, and accelerate our capacity to obtain new insights from the data. Let me take this opportunity to thank our industry collaborators who have been helping and informing us in the design of the data lake. It is vitally important we design our system to meet industry needs, and we hope that is exactly what we will deliver. In speaking about collaboration is once again a nice segue to the theme of redefining the way we partner. Our aim is to be an enabler of collaboration. That's not to say that we haven't collaborated in the past. I think that the geological fraternity, perhaps more than most, have been good at collaborating for a very long time, whether between companies or between industry and the research sector. But the need is more urgent now and the stakes are higher. In our Northwest Minerals province, we are seeing a discovery drought at play, with no major Tier 1 discoveries made since the mid-1990s. That is despite the great efforts of our explorers, supported by government and our highly capable research community spread across Australia's universities and research institutions. The discovery drought has the attention of this government, best demonstrated through the Northwest Minerals Province Strategic Blueprint. But while we can do more surveys and more exploration, what we need most of all is to bring to bear our full capacity, to figure out strategies, plans and tactics we need to help drive the next generation of major discoveries. And all that calls for more collaboration, more sharing of data and more sharing of knowledge. And we're seeing that happen. I'm very pleased to see the support from our industry to our government initiatives in setting research priorities, in defining how our data lake and its supporting tools and services should operate, and in the level-headed discussions about critical yet sensitive topics like data confidentiality periods. The push to greater collaboration has been designed into GSQ2 with the formation of an industry engagement function in recognition of the need to ensure we understand what industry needs and that we communicate effectively with all of our many stakeholders. So let me close now by thanking you for attending today's Digging Deeper event. It's a very important part of the geoscience and exploration calendar and one of our primary vehicles for not only communicating the work we have done, but also to provide the means to meet, learn and share ideas from colleagues from across the resources sector. So on behalf of the department and on behalf of myself, thank you all for being in attendance and please enjoy the day and learn. Thank you.